Good morning, guys. So today, Globe Scott Trot is going to be visiting Mexico. So we're going to be learning about how they celebrate Christmas in Mexico. So, Feliz Navidad. That means Merry Christmas in Spanish. I'm here in Mexico visiting my friend Anna. We are preparing to celebrate Las Posadas. Las Posadas is a celebration that lasts 9 days leading up to Christmas. It begins on December 16th and ends on December 24th. And right here we can see this is a piñata we are going to break open at one of our Las Posadas parties. Candy is inside. This is my friend Anna. She is dressed up for Las Posadas. On January 6th, so after this is all over, we put out our shoes for the three wise men to fill with gifts. We decorate Anna's house with poinsettias. And so this is what we're going to talk about today is poinsettias, because poinsettias are an important plant that we see, and it's a symbol for Christmas. We see these plants everywhere, and they actually come from Mexico. So this is some more information about Mexico. It says, La Posadas is Spanish for the inn or shelter. The celebration begins 9 days before Christmas. A pageant or a play is reenacted each night until Christmas Eve. People gather for a feast and children break open a star-shaped piñata. Poinsettias are used as decorations and shoes are filled by the three wise men. Christmas celebrations end on January 6th, so they celebrate for a long time too. And so we are actually, if you look very carefully, you're going to see the legend of the poinsettia, and that's the story that we're going to read today. So the legend of the poinsettia is a story that's going to be retold and illustrated by Tommy DePaula. And Tommy DePaula told some of the other stories we actually read about. He's really big into retelling folk tales. And remember, a folk tale is a story that people have passed down from generation to generation. And they usually have some type of meaning to them or a lesson that we want to learn from them, okay? But Tony DePaula travels all over the world, and he looks for these folk tales and he retells them. So this story actually takes place in Mexico, and it's going to tell us how they think the poinsettia came about, okay? So the legend of the poinsettia. Lucida lived in a small village high up in the mountains of Mexico with her mama, her papa, and her younger brother and sister, Paco and Lupe. Papa worked in the fields with their burro, Papito. Every evening, Lucida fed Papito and gave him fresh water and filled his stall with clean straw. Home, Lucida helped Mama clean la casita, their little house, and pat on the tortillas for their meals. She took care of Paco and Lupe, and each evening they went to the shrine of the Virgin de Guadalupe near the front gate to see if fresh candles were needed. Every day was not work. On Sundays, the family went to St. Gabriel in the square where Padre Alvarez said the Mass. And all through the year, there were fiestas, or parties, and holy days, which always began with a procession. That's another word for a parade, that wound through the village and ended up in St. Gabriel. So looking from this picture, you can tell that Sundays were really important for her family. One day close to Christmas, La Navidad, which is the Spanish word for Christmas, Padre Alvarez came to their casita. Ah, Senor Martinez, buenos dias, good day. Padre Alvarez said, I am here to ask you about the blanket which covers the figure of baby Jesus in the Christmas procession or parade. We have used the same one for so many years, and it's almost all worn out. Because your weaving is so fine, I have come to ask you if you'll make a new one. Mi padre, Lucida's mother said, I would be honored, and Lucida will help. One Saturday, Lucida and Mama went to the market to buy the wool for the blanket. They chose the finest yard they could find. At home, Lucida helped Mama dye the wool the colors of the rainbow. Those colors will shine throughout the church, Papa said, as he watched Lucida and Mama string the yarn on the loom. As Christmas drew closer, everyone in the village was busy. All the mamas were making gifts to place at the manger of the baby Jesus in the church. The papas worked together, putting up the manger scene in St. Gabriel. Lucida and the other children went to the church for singing practice for the Christmas Eve procession or parade, when everyone would walk to St. Gabriel, singing and carrying candles. Once again, Padre Alvarez would lay the figure of the baby Jesus in the manger, and the villagers would go up and place their gifts around it. Our gift will be the blanket for the baby Jesus, Lucida told her friends. I am helping Mama weave it. One afternoon, a few days before Christmas Eve, Lucida and the other children were singing in the church when Senora Gomez came hurrying in. Lucida, you must come home. Your mama is sick and your papa has taken her down to the town to see the doctor. You must take care of your brother and sister until your papa returns tonight. Lucida was frightened. Mama had never been sick before. When she got home, Paque and Lupe were crying. They were frightened too. Lucida tried to comfort them. She made some food and sat down to wait for Papa. That evening, Papa came in looking tired and worried. He drew Lucida close and said, Lucida, mi niña, your mama is ill. Your aunt, Tia Carmen, will take care of mama until she is well, but I must go back and stay with mama until I bring her home, and it won't be until after Christmas. Senora Gomez will take care of you and Paco and Lupe. When I am gone, she will come for you tomorrow. The next afternoon, Lucida overheard two men talking. Lucida's mother is ill. She won't be able to finish the blanket for the procession. Isn't that a shame? See, the other woman said, we are all so disappointed. Padre Alvarez will have to use the old, worn-out one. When Lucida got home to feed Pepito and get clothes for Paco and Lupe and herself, she looked at the unfinished blanket on the loom. Perhaps I can finish it, she thought. And when she sat down and tried to weave, the yarn got all tangled. The more she tried to untangle it, the worse it got. It was no use. She could never finish it by herself. She took the unfinished blanket to Senora Gomez. Oh, Lucida, it is so tangled. There isn't time to try to fix it, Senora Gomez told her. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Lucia started to cry. It was her fault the blanket was ruined. Her family wouldn't have a gift to place at the manger of baby Jesus. Don't worry, Lucida. We will all go to the procession together. Lucida didn't say anything, but in her heart, she felt that she had run Christmas. Come, Paco, come, Lupe. It is time to go to the procession. Senora Gomez called on Christmas Eve. Where is Lucida? She was nowhere to be found. Lucida was hiding. From the shadows, Lucia watched everyone gather to the procession. The candles were lit, the singing began, and the villagers walked to St. Gabriel, carrying gifts to place at the manger. Lucia walked along in the darkness and watched the procession go into the church, followed by Padre Alvarez carrying the baby Jesus. Little girl, are you Lucida? An old woman stood in the shadows nearby. See, Lucia answered, wondering who she was. I have a message for you. Your mama is going to be fine and your papa will bring her home soon, so you don't have to worry. Go now into the church and celebrate Christmas with the others. Paco and Lupe are waiting for you. I can't, Lucia told her. I don't have a gift for baby Jesus. Mama and I were weaving a beautiful blanket, but we couldn't finish it. I tried, but I only tangled it all up. Oh, Lucida, any gift is beautiful because it is given, the old woman told her. Whatever you give the baby Jesus will love because it comes from you. But what can I give now? Lucia said, looking around. A patch of tall green weeds grew in a tangle nearby. Lucia rushed over and picked an armful. Do you think these will be all right? Lucia turned to the old woman to ask, but she was gone. Lucia walked to the church. It was blazing with candlelight, and the children were singing as she walked quietly down the aisle with a bundle of green weeds in her hand. What is Lucia carrying? A woman whispered. Why is she bringing weeds into the church? Another one murmured. Lucia reached the manger scene. She placed the green weeds around the stable, then she lowered her head and prayed. A hush fell over the church. Voices began to whisper. Look at the weeds. Lucida opened her eyes and looked up. Each weed was tipped with a flaming red star. The manger glowed and shimmered as if lit by 100 candles. When everyone went outside after Mass, all the clumps of tall green weeds throughout the town were shining like red stars. Lucida's simple gift had indeed become beautiful. And every Christmas to this day, The red stars shine on top of green branches in Mexico. The people call the plants La Flor de la Noche Buena, the flower of the holy night, the poinsettia. So, what do you think the moral of this story is? Why do you think the lesson is that Tommy DePaula wanted you to know from the story? So what you're going to do now is you're going to connect to Seesaw and you're going to tell me, what do you think the lesson is? What did we learn from Lucia? What do you think the author wanted us to know? All right, guys, you did an awesome job.